Welcome back. They say a writer is a photographer of thought. Now our next guest is exactly that. She's young and she wrote her first book at the age of 15. Writing is easy. Accomplishing that with finesse is what really takes the cake. Prem Kaur is a creative author who is in the process of writing her third book. Her first book is in the process of being published and will be released within the year. Prem, welcome to our show.
Hi Sita, thanks for having me on this show.
So Prem, you're relatively young compared to the other authors we know about. What made you realize that this was your passion at such a young age?
Well, I would have to say that creativity has always been one of my greatest passions. I think I've tried my hand at everything creative, from blending spices in the kitchen to baking and to indulging in everything that is creative. Like oil painting, coloring, drawing, I think I've done it all. Oh, and I've even made teddy bears. So I would have to say that I think the idea for a story first hit. I mean, can you believe it? It was during an examination. It was an English exam and I was just writing and my pen just wouldn't stop flowing. The essay topic was so gripping and I remember thinking, oh my god, I just got an idea for a story. And I ran home, grabbed my iPad and just jotted down the first chapter, and it was that precise moment that I realized I was born to write.
So Prem, what inspires you and what influences your stories and characters?
Well, I normally always have the gist of the story mapped out in my head. Or I would normally maybe mind map it out on a paper or just like jot the points down. And then I think I would form the features, the characterizations, the plot twist, the story according to how it goes, how the flow is going. And as for the inspiration, I would have to say that you must be knowing the author J.K. Rowling. She wrote the famous Harry Potter series. So when I read her books, I get transferred and immersed into a completely different world. A world where magic, where dragons, where beasts exist. So I feel like when I write, I want the readers to be transported into my world. I want them to feel the emotions that I write. I want them to laugh with me. I want them to cry with me. So I think that is my ultimate inspiration, I would say, to have them just feel exactly what I write.
So Prem, who are your role models and why?
Well, I would have to say that all of my role models have always been authors. I guess that's how I found my passion at such a young age. I think the top three at the moment would be Enid Blyton, Jennifer L. Armentrout and Sarah J. Maas. Let's take Enid Blyton for instance. She is, I think, a generational author. Everyone from young to old, from kids to adults, has read her books and have enjoyed it. Even for me, if I walk into a bookstore at this very moment and I stop at her aisle and pick up her books, I get immersed into her story. Her content is just so gripping. So I would think that that's a real achievement. If I'm not mistaken, her first book came out in about the 1930s and it is still really going strong. Now that's a real accomplishment. And as for my second author, Jennifer L. Armentrout, her writing style, she caters to both young adults and adults, her books, and I would say that her writing style is really breezy, but at the same time, you just can't put it down. It's the kind of book that you're reading and the phone rings and you're just like, oh, I want to continue this. So I think, and the third one would be Sarah J. Maas, who is poles apart from Jennifer Armentrout. Her writing style has a real depth to it. It has a weight to it, and she's the kind of author that can make you whoop with happiness, can make you shed tears. She's the kind of author that just makes the stories come to life, make her characters come to life, and that is something that I've learned to do after reading her books.
How do you manage to balance such a tedious task and focus on your studies simultaneously?
Well, to be honest, it hasn't been easy. It's really been difficult to juggle both of my aspects of my life, but I think at the moment in this part of life, education is really important. For everyone, education is really important, and I would have to say it had to do a lot with trust. There was blind trust from both my parents to juggle and to balance both my passion and my education simultaneously, and that really motivated me, has dedicated me to keep writing. And there's also I would say if any idea for a book, if any characterizations popped up during my exam time or during my school days, I would just jot them down and then I would really work overdrive in the holidays. Another example would be, this past summer I had flew down to Singapore and interned with Bright House Asia and worked really closely under the creative director of the company. And I think that had really given me an insight on how my future would be in the writing world.
So Prem, you have your whole life ahead of you. What are your dreams for the future?
Okay, so writing is definitely in the picture. Maybe I'll try my hand at a few blogs, maybe I'll try different genre, maybe even non-fiction. I think, you know, what my real inspiration would be to walk into a bookstore one day and to see my books on the shelf and to see people buying my books and coming up to me and congratulating me on how well I wrote it, on how they enjoyed the books. And I think my real inspiration will also be one day to be sitting in a movie theatre, eating popcorn and watching my book come alive on screen.
So Prem, tell our viewers something about your books.
Okay, so both of my books that I've written are actually catered to young adults, are catered to teenagers. So now I would say the first book, Wheel of Death. So this book is, I would say it's a completely adventure novel of a girl, a protagonist, Arena Gilmore, who goes for a live game show to win 20 million. And the hurdles, the challenges, the journey that she goes through is what actually makes up the story. And the second book, Midnight Castle, is the one I have written about a year and a half ago. It's a completely different genre to Wheel of Death. It's a paranormal romance. So I would say that this book is actually on the same protagonist who goes to the vampire's lair to save her sister. It's a completely different take on a vampire's novel, so I'm sure readers would enjoy it. It's not the same romantic vampire human love story. It's a different genre, it's a different take on it, so yes. And the third book that I am currently writing right now is still under, I would say it's still under production. It's a high fantasy novel. It has everything a high fantasy has. It has beasts, it has dragons, it has spells, it has magic. So hopefully I write it well.
Prem, thanks a lot for coming onto our show. You are truly an inspiration to all those creative young writers out there. We truly wish you all the best for all your future endeavors.
Thank you so much, Sita. It was a really great experience.
So friends, that was Prem. Now I'm going to continue talking to Prem, but in the meantime, let's take a short break.